people with we came to this group of people and to the Jigsaw story quite late in the piece, because we started working with people with much more profound and severe disability. But about 2 years in, we were being approached by people who had moderate hearing loss. You know, they had an implant and they could hear fine, but because of that, they were discriminated against and couldn't find work. Or people who had long careers and had maybe an accident, which meant that they were a wheelchair user but couldn't get work, even though nothing had changed with their mind and with their upper body, and able to, you know, use a computer and all those sorts of things. So we were sort of being approached by this cohort, and we just thought, this is absolutely insane. Like, why is this group being excluded from the economy in terms of the sort of the human impact that has on individual lives, but also as a society? Why are we excluding this group of people from participation and paying them a pension? You know, it just makes sense from absolutely no angle. So to resolve that challenge, what we did was we set up a business called Jigsaw. What Jigsaw does is it works in the information management space. So we work with a whole bunch of corporate and government clients, and we do a whole bunch of different information management processes, some data, some analytics as well for our clients, to help them with the processes, which basically involves going from paper to digital and understanding what's in the information that they have. So to give you an example of one of our long-standing partners, we work with the Northern Beaches Council, which is where we're based. They have all these warehouses full of paper records. And if I want to get a record about my driveway, I have to call the council, and it takes them 2 weeks to dig the box out of storage, and then it's the wrong box, so they send it back with the courier and they get another box, and then they fax me probably the piece of paper, which is costing us as ratepayers a lot of money to store, and obviously really inefficient. With Jigsaw, what we're doing is we're digitising all those records, such that in the future, if I want to get my records, I call up, they pull up the file and email it to me within 10 seconds. So those are the sorts of contracts that we're working on with councils, with government departments, corporates, Westpac and Trevor's company as well, to provide those sorts of information management services. And we do that to do three things. Firstly, we create jobs. Our workforce are people with disability, usually mild and moderate disability. We pay all of our workers award and above award wage to do that work, because we do the work in the commercial. It's a commercial contract from our partners, and we pay our workers commercial rates. But the second thing we do with that work is more of a training and skill development piece. Lots of young people with disability coming out of school can't get that first shot to develop their CV, develop their skills and progress. So we have a program within the business where we just give people a 10-week work experience program, in which they we see people go from totally green, really anxious, carrying usually a lot of baggage, never had a job before, all the way through to, I'm starting to get how this works, I've got some skills, I can write something meaningful on my CV, and I can take the next step. So there's also a training component. And the third element is a transitional pathway. So once someone has been trained up, once potentially someone's worked with us for a few years, we can then work with our partners to hopefully put our people back into their businesses, and that's something that we've been able to do with F-Invest. We had one of our young guys, Dylan, he joined us, he had a hearing impairment. He talked about not being able to get a job because he couldn't talk to employees on the phone. We gave him a job, he worked with us for a while, he worked on the contract with F-Invest, and then we were able to transition Dylan to a role in that company, which is obviously that's the dream really, is actually the inclusion of these guys into the workforce. So you can think of Jigsaw as a pathway to take someone from, like I said, straight out of school, really green, usually carrying a lot of baggage, through to, working in an amazing mainstream environment with a really great employer. That's what we do.